Hello there, I am David. I am the Scottish agent in London. As you can see, we do sales and lettings. Today I wanted to talk about, I look like I'm going to court today dressed like this, but actually I was in court yesterday. Very, very rarely there is a problem with tenants not paying rent to the extent that you end up in court. I think it's happened to me 3 times, maybe 4 in 17 years. I'm not going to talk about the case yesterday, of course, and I'll always remain respectful to the people who, for one reason or another, haven't paid their rent. Almost all of them really didn't intend things to end up that way. So it's no pleasure for anybody really, and it's quite an unpleasant thing to be involved in. But anyway, lots of landlords don't seem to know, and I'm certainly not a mega expert because I'm not a lawyer. What can happen, or what the situation is when people haven't paid their rent on time. Basically, a tenant is not in arrears, quote, until they've missed 2 rent payments. So if they're 3 weeks late, there's nothing you can really do legally. I mean, obviously, in that time, we'd be trying to get them to pay it if we were rent collecting or managing the tenancy. But legally, you can't do anything until they've missed 2 rent payments. So 1 calendar month plus 1 day, usually, is the point at which you can take action. That action will probably take you to the county court, which is where I was yesterday. And in that situation, you're trying to get the judge to grant you a possession order. Anecdotally, they generally do that for non-payment of rent, and also separately to that, you'll be hoping that they will give you, they will award you against the tenants any unpaid rent plus the costs of taking them to court, if those costs are mentioned in the tenancy agreement and it says they'll have to pay should this situation occur. So you're hoping for a possession order and for the award of the rent owing and all the costs of the landlord. And so at that point, on the terms of the possession order, the judge will usually make it that has to happen either sometime between the next 14 days and the next 42 days. Now, when that time comes, if the tenant hasn't moved out, then you can go for an eviction order. At that point, you have to contact the bailiffs, and bailiffs have to give 14 days notice of going round and evicting someone physically. And first of all, before that 14 days can begin, you have to get a bailiff's appointment, and obviously that can take a while as well. So that's the order of things that might happen. Now, again, in my meagre experience of this, thankfully, once people have a letter from the bailiffs telling them they're coming to move them out, they generally move out before that. Because most people in the situation will, even if they didn't know beforehand, they'll have taken advice, maybe from citizens' advice, and they will know that that when the bailiff comes, that really is the end of it. There is no argument. You can call the police. The bailiffs will be evicting you from that property that day and changing the locks, etc. That will be happening. So most people leave before that happens. So the other thing, of course, is the awarding of the lost rent and any costs. Now, there's the positive thing about that from the landlord's point of view is that if the tenants don't leave by that first time given by the judge, at that point that becomes a real problem, and that goes on their credit history. So even if they're not going to physically leave the property, they may well, if they are at all possible, pay that debt, because if they don't, that's going to go on their record and make things far worse in future. There is another fly in the ointment from the landlord's point of view, which is that tenants who are in severe financial trouble, almost all, of course, of those who have struggled to pay their rent to the point where it's ended up with this disastrous situation in the court, local councils won't house anyone until they are in imminent threat of eviction. Now, a court order isn't that, because they just know the court order is going to run out. But when you've got the bailiffs, when you have a date for the bailiffs, at that point, councils will generally act, because they will have a responsibility if people are going to be put on the street. And the reality, just stating facts, the reality is, as I said, if the bailiffs come round to evict you, they will be evicting you. There's no argument left. It's the last chance, and the police won't do anything about it. So you may get this situation where the tenants will be advised by their legal person to stay on past that court order bit in order to get the eviction order. Ironically, something that they now may want, because they can then go to the council and the council will hopefully rehouse them. So there's lots of stuff going on there. As I said, it's a very unpleasant situation. I was in the court yesterday. It's quite obviously there's no fun in this whatsoever. You're not happy to see someone in this situation. as I say, I've had maybe one or I can't. Well, actually, I haven't had any myself where someone was really gratuitously, giving you bad signals and being horrible and being gratuitously nasty about not having paid the rent. The 3 or 4 I've been involved in just really couldn't help it. It was circumstances made it happen. But quite obviously, I have to be empathic from the landlord's point of view as well, because they have a property and they need to get rent and they have mortgages to pay, most of them. So anyway, that's as I say, I'm not the world's greatest expert. I don't think I have to be in my position. We leave that really mostly to the lawyers and advocates and barristers and judges. But that's basically that sorry situation in a reasonably short nutshell. Thank you for watching, and if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, please let me know below, and please do subscribe. I'd love to get to 100 at some point. And so that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you later. See you next time.